scratch. Basically, we have a few products that let people take the 3D CAD. In the case specifically here, Solid Edge is a new supported for us, and we also support things like SolidWorks, Inventor, Pro E, Step, IGES, various CAD formats. But I mean, we're a new SolidWorks or a new Siemens partner last fall, and we are directly import Solid Edge files, and we also have an exporter that's built into Solid Edge. It's not built in, out of the box, but there's an exporter that's free and people can download, and that'll get it to a format that we can bring in, and it'll have information like the exploded views, the metadata, configurations, those kind of things that people can start to build from for their documentation side. Some of the things that people use our software for is to just create regular old technical illustrations that they can then go into Word or InDesign or something like that. Or we have a product that creates complete documents, so they don't need Word or InDesign in those cases. It's very useful for creating interactive documents that have step-by-step processes built in where you might hit a next button and go through them. And then as well as printed documents that illustrated parts catalogs is a real popular example of a printed document that's using our software. And then we also have a new offering, which is on the cloud distribution side of things, where you can publish and privately share your 3D to the cloud. And this is different than an engineering tool. It's more of you're publishing a procedure or an instruction set or a catalog to the cloud, not just a 3D model. And so that's where our side of things is there. From a PLM wheel kind of standpoint, I mean, this is kind of our version of the PLM wheel. The ones that we focus on and have a lot of hits on is work instructions, technical illustrations, and then illustrated parts catalogs are real useful for us too. 3D PDF's another one, but that's more of a feature. Any of these can be done as a 3D PDF. It's more of a feature than an actual output. As far as the software, there's two different authoring tools. One, just to try to be clear between and let y'all understand the differences between them. The Publisher 3D product is solely concentrated on taking the 3D model and making imagery like ping images or something, or vector graphics to go into Illustrator or something like that. And Pages 3D is a unique product, the bottom one there, that combines both 3D and page layout. So you can have kind of a PowerPoint-like environment where you can add text and images and everything. There's two products for authoring the content that people will be using. It's the first one, the Publisher 3D, is used to create images or like vector graphics that you go into Illustrator with or something like that. And it's really just concentrated on working with the 3D model only. A unique product would be the Pages 3D one, and it combines both 3D and page layout. So you can bring in text and type in text and images and all that kind of stuff. And the result can be a final document instead of having to go through something else. And this has all kinds of, benefits, like when you update the document, it updates your whole document, not just your image set, things like that. And you don't have to use two tools and stuff. So those are the two different products. And I think pretty quickly, I'm going to jump in maybe. There we go. So there's the Publisher 3D. I'm just going to, instead of going through this slide, I'm just going to go flip over to the product and just take a quick look at it. All right. So in Publisher 3D, you see up at the top here, we're in Publisher. And the whole goal of this one is to create images with balloons or exploded views or what have you. There's a lot of different tools that someone can use, but they're they're easy to use in the sense that they kind of have a ribbon. They look like a PowerPoint-ish. Well, this one doesn't look PowerPoint as much, but anyway, the whole goal of this product is to create, if I bring up a storyboard, a series of these illustrations down here that can then be, if you go to the Publish ribbon, can then be published to a variety of outputs. Creating the illustrations is, pretty straightforward. You just click new and it captures the view, and then you can add balloons and call ups and everything to that. And obviously, as you switch between the different ones, they have, their own call outs. And this is a 3D markup that's drawn into the scene. This one has a markup on the top, a screwdriver, saying that's what you're going to need. I guess as far as the power of the tool and everything, we include exploded view tools, so the user can on this side of the software world can create their exploded views. They can also import those from Solid Edge if they would prefer that. So they can import those from Solid Edge or get to the configurations and those kind of things. But on this side, there's a variety of tools for setting up the views. I don't want to go into a lot of depth. I just want to kind of position, what the product is about and what it does. And, on a future meeting, we could go into more depth. I guess the last thing I'd like to point out on Publisher is on the Publish ribbon, you can publish this storyboard to, either raster graphics like Ping or what have you, vector graphics. You can interactively publish. I guess 3D PDF is one that you can come from here. And that's kind of a confusing point sometimes because 3D PDF is more of a feature for our product. So you can publish a 3D PDF from any of them. The difference is that if you're using Publisher, you're going to publish it through a template, and it's going to be a single page template. I need to go turn that off. It's going to be a single page template, and in the pages side, which we'll talk about in just a second, you can make as many pages in your document as you would like. So it's got a little bit more power when it talks about 3D PDF. Another thing you can do is publish to our Share 3D. That's our cloud solution that we'll briefly talk about in just a second too. And then movies and to a Word document.
So from a technical publishing standpoint, you would set up a storyboard like you see here.
Yes, sir.
And then when my storyboard is all set up, I then can publish this, right?
Right.
Okay.
And and a lot of times on this product, they will use, the raster publish or the vector publish to get to, either like Illustrator, have the, the graphics that have line drawings, or raster, which is just Ping files or JPEGs. So those are probably the most common ones from here. And what it does is it takes all these, they hold the illustrations down here with these names, and you can change the names if you want. And it takes those and puts those out into, like, this would go out as illustration7.ping, for example. And just they batch process those into a folder for you. And what I've seen, people do if they're wanting to continue to use Word is they'll do a soft link to that image file that's in a folder. And then if they want to do updates, which is a very common powerful features, they can update all these illustrations by bringing in the revised Solid Edge file. And then when they republish, they'll publish out to the same file name, same directory, and all the imagery through their Word document will be updated if they're using the Word side of things.
Can I see the finished product of that?
Yeah, they would hit publish on the publish ribbon. They would pick, let's do a Ping 1000 by 800, I guess. And then we just publish now. Let's see, we can pick a directory. Put it on the desktop here. And then we pick that directory. I think it already picked it. Yeah, we say okay. And so then it just makes this whole folder of images for them here. And you can see it's illustration4.ping, for example.
Okay, so it just publishes it out, and each one is published out as a raster, as a Ping image right now.
Right. Yep, that's one option.
So it doesn't put it into a book or anything yet.
Right, and that's what this product, that's mostly the end result of this product would be those kind of imagery, and they would put those into the manually. All right, so that's that product. You can also do 3D PDFs here, just a quick example of one. We have a bunch of templates that come with the software, and they can pick a template, and depending on what they're trying to do, you can see that, the illustration metadata shows up here. So if I click, on 3, it shows me that scene, and the text, you can add textual information to it. So that adds another layer of what you can do. And this is just a template. In this product, there's one page, You can go and tweak, titles and things like that. And then this will publish out with an interactive view that's in a 3D PDF.
Yeah, that's nice. I like that.
And
so it comes with all the built-in templates.
Mm-hmm.
So all you do is select the template you want.
Right, and that's that's its limitation. You can't go and drag things around and reposition things in this product. You'll have to have pages to do that. So, and you can also put your logo in, just change out that image and stuff like that. So you can do some basic editing here and on this side. All right, so that's pretty much the top level overview of, just to be clear, Publisher. And if we look over at Pages, close this one out. Just going to close. You'll see that it's a little different. It's got some similarities, and we'll talk about those in a second, but it's mostly concerned with a page. So you have a page right here instead of a 3D view. And as I step through, you can see the different pages in the document. This one's all just pre-made kind of to have a quick technical demo. And if I go to edit page mode, this is where it gets a lot different. You can go in and change the text. I can move, things around on the page and position them however I want, set up my document, add my own corporate logo, things like that.
So it works just like PowerPoint, basically.
It's like a simplified version of PowerPoint that includes, simplified in the sense of the page layout tools, but it includes, full 3D capability. So if I go to the next page, right now it's in editing page mode, and what I can do is, position this like I position an image or something in PowerPoint.
Yep.
Put it here, and then if I go back and turn off edit page, then I have, full interactivity of the 3D scene. The shortcut for that is to double click, and it'll go back and forth between those two modes.
Okay.
And if I wanted to add like a parts list or something, I could just take a parts table, drag it off over here, set it up for interacting with the view. If you're doing printed manual, you wouldn't want this on because you don't want it highlighting what's selected. But in this case, we'll just leave it on. It's too big of a font. And it's got the wrong adjustment there. There we go. And this automatically is set up now. I can click it and I get, kind of this interactivity. So that's kind of how, the editing works. It's real simple. You just drag it out and it knows, we have a big parts list editing capability and those kind of things. So it's pretty simple to set up. If I wanted another 3D view, I could just drag that out down here, for example, look at the same model, and we now have that view set up. And there's kind of a clever view that people set up sometimes. Show selected object only. And this gives you a neat little, I click here and it only gives me the, main part here. But so it's really easy to set up, those kind of things.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's a pretty ugly page though there. So
I understand the concept. That's what's important.
Right. And then this page is set up more as a step-by-step instruction. A lot of times when it goes to a shop floor or something, it won't have, all this text around it. It'll look more like a drawing sheet that you're familiar with. It'll have, a header table and a footer table. And that's what I see a lot of times going to shop floors. But it'll have these kind of buttons on here so that they can go next. And it'll go through the instruction set on one page of the instructions. And you'll notice that the text is changing here as we go through these different steps. And this all goes back to kind of what we were doing in Publisher. It goes back to a storyboard that's underlying in this 3D view. So if I go here and turn on my storyboard, you'll see that really all it's doing is stepping through this storyboard. And as you get to, you'll see we have this here. And as you get here, there's the metadata. And it's just showing up in fields that you put on the page. Because this doesn't show up. This information doesn't show up, on a document unless you put it on the page somehow. So that's why it's dynamically displaying there. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So once we have all this done, then you can publish this, and they can open the documentation on the floor, and you have a viewer for the floor.
Yeah, and that's a good point. You can publish this to PDF, but What generally occurs is on a shop floor, people wanted the native viewer. So we do have a Reader 3D uh, freely distributable thing for viewing these on a shop floor. One of our customers is Raphael. They make that Iron Dome, that missile battery that gets a lot of press.
Yep.
And they use our software to assemble that. They have like 100 stations of Reader 3D on their shop floor, and they make documents. Mostly their documents look like this part, like I was trying to allude to earlier, just
Yep.
side over here, and they put those on the shop floor for their assembly instructions. So, and another thing that they need is to be able to put other information in here, like they put images and movies and things into their packet that they deliver to the shop floor, because a lot of times for assembly instructions, just 3D is just not all you need. It's not enough. And there's different legacy things that they can leverage, such as the drawings or movies or those kind of things too. So that's where we have a strength too against someone like SolidWorks Composer, which is 3D only pretty much. We have the ability to incorporate all those different pieces and then have a packet that gets delivered. So and that's pretty much, I think, my overview of the Pages product. We already went through. I actually created this one over on the other page for us, but this one's just kind of how the parts list can be integrated. You can customize parts list, as much as you want. On the model panel here, there's a edit parts list, and you can go through here. It's kind of Excel-ish. You can insert columns to the right. This is all metadata that's coming in from the Solid Edge file, for example. This isn't Solid Edge actually, but that metadata.
No, I understand. Yeah.
The thing, but yeah. So you can set up parts list tables, as many different ones in documentation world. There's a lot of different. You want to maybe just show a parts list with only 6 parts on a page, and then move on to another page, for example. So that's pretty much, a high level overview of the Pages product. Hopefully you can kind of see the difference between them, the publisher product and the Pages one.
Well, yeah, there's quite a big difference.
Yeah. I guess some of the highlighted features, I didn't hit on all these, but everybody wants to update their documents. That's a pretty powerful one. Being able to take the revised Solid Edge and bring it in is something that is always a selling point. We have what we call configurations, which I think are similar to the Solid Edge configurations. People use that term differently, but basically ours is designed to allow you to take a big model, chop it up into subsets, and then work with a subset. So you can go, instead of exploding a whole skid or a whole car or something, you can go and take and work on just the carburetor or something and get your graphical content set up with that. And each configuration has a parts list that's automatically generated for that subset of parts, which makes it easier to work with too. We also have a technology called Smart Template technology. And what that does is it lets you take an exploded view and automatically generate that storyboard from it. So it'll give you a big head start. Like everything will, let's say you're doing an assembly process and you have an exploded view with 20 explode steps. You can go and automatically create the assembly process from that exploded state, as long as those are in the right order. And it'll hide and show and select the different parts to kind of give you a very, early you may start off with just 2 parts showing. Then the next step maybe has 3, then 4, then 5, and they all kind of come together, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And we talked about this already, but that's unique. It's a patented thing we have, is the integration of 3D and page design. And that's pretty much the Pages product right there. So, and where that really fits in is work instructions, illustrated parts catalogs. It really just depends on how the customer wants to work. If they're really happy working in Word or InDesign, then you probably just want to lead with Publisher 3D and not try to sell them into changing everything. But if they're looking to put interactive instructions on a shop floor, then this is going to something like Pages is going to be a much better solution. We have another thing called Document 3D Suite, and it includes both the Publisher and the Pages. And that's the one I was saying was in the 6,000 range.
Okay.
It also, now we've added this year, with maintenance, it'll have 3 of our licenses of our 3 user accounts for Share 3D, which I'm about to talk about. So Share 3D is our cloud, a cloud offering, and what it's designed for is to allow people to publish the 3D, like that storyboard that we've already seen. You can publish those into the cloud for sharing with others. It's private sharing right now, not public. So if you share it with somebody, you're going to send them an email automatically through the system that allows them to see that if they log in with that email. Nobody else can log in and do that. This is kind of how it works technically. You make your illustration set in Publisher 3D, so you make your instructions or your catalog there. You publish that to the cloud, and then you share it with people. And it's all based on WebGL, so you don't need any plugins. Most of the browsers today support that. Internet Explorer does too. I know it's not listed there, but Internet Explorer now does too. And so you might have to turn something on, but most of the time it seems like it just comes up these days. They're rolling it out little by little. Other products might require a plugin. We don't. And we also have an iPhone and an iPad app. So I've logged into to my Share 3D account. All right. So,
okay, yep, we see everything.
Okay, so here's an example. It's the same example we had earlier, but you can just see how that one plays out on the web here.
So do people on the floor, do they like to log in through here, through the web-based, or do they do non-web-based?
Well, it's a cloud solution, so they have to log in at some for this delivery mechanism. They would have to log in either through the web or through an iPad or iPhone.
But as far as the cloud here, do you see customers utilizing on the floor the non-cloud base?
Yeah, most of the floor is so far as like the Reader 3D, which is they install it on the floor themselves. We also have a web version of Reader 3D that's it's Internet Explorer ActiveX only, but we're trying to transition to this more. But yeah, for now, most people use our standalone side of things, not the cloud for work instructions.
Yep. So this is good. I understand this. Okay.
Yeah, I mean the content's the same. This is that same storyboard, but now it's published to the cloud. I can click through things here, or I can go through and I'm in 2D mode. It's telling me, and that's kind of clever too. There's also a 2D mode, so if somebody doesn't have good 3D, or they're waiting for a big model to download, they can still hit next and go through the different illustrations without having to have 3D. See, it's going to tell me I don't have 3D. And at any time, once it's downloaded, they can flick to the 3D mode. So on our side, the 3D is on the web, and what we have that's kind of cool is our commenting capability. So to collaborate, you can go over here and you invite somebody. This guy's invited to this session, this fictional guy. And you can go in here and create illustrations, these aren't illustrations. Sorry, these are just comments that have imagery tied to them. So if you have something to say, you can just say new comment. This is a problem. You can use some of the tools here to circle on the scene and everything. And then when you submit this, it goes here and sends this out to everybody that's in this project right now. If I look here again, you'll see this guy's going to get an email, and then he can respond or whatever from that. He'll also get the view, and he can click the view, and it'll pop up exactly where it was with the markups and everything. So, and that's kind of how our round tripping goes. He'll also, on that email he gets, if he doesn't want to log in and see interactivity or anything, he can just reply to the email, and that will end up in this trail too. If you look, I think there's one that's here, like, he got it. That was just an email reply right there. So, and that's kind of how we round trip on the collaboration side. And as we go forward, we have some areas that we're going to be targeting with Share 3D. We have some like shopping carts with, picking the parts, adding to a shopping cart, and then integrating them letting customers integrate that with their own service. But that's just kind of things we're working toward. We have that, available if we have a good customer that wants to start looking into that. But it's not something that's off the shelf right now.
Okay. Yeah, I really like what I see so far, Brian.
Appreciate it. Let's see here. So, overall, that's pretty much my overall presentation. What kind of, do y'all have any specific questions at this point?
I mean, personally, yeah, I think this is something that we can demo and possibly have some of our customers take advantage of this capabilities.
Good.